Hi, my name is Jessica Ling, and I'm a registered provisional psychologist here at Simply Counseling. With our month's theme of fears and phobias, today I wanted to talk about what we can do if we have a phobia and some strategies, techniques to help us deal with that. So this came up in my mind because the other day I was talking about a phobia of mine with some coworkers, and I was saying I have a big fear of spiders. And I was thinking the other day, I had this irrational fear that if I'm in session with a client and I see a spider in the room, what would I do? I feel like I would freeze. I would be so distracted. I worry that I wouldn't be able to focus on what the client is saying. And at some point, I think, you know what? Depending on the client, I might say, sorry, we have to pause. I need you to kill that for me. Completely irrational, right? I know I would be okay. It's not some poisonous spider, it'd be something little, but this is how phobias work in our head. So if you can relate to having a spider phobia or any other type of phobia, let's talk about some strategies to help us. So when we think about a phobia is an intense, irrational fear of something that isn't dangerous at all, or maybe a little bit, but we are making it be a bigger issue than it actually is. Okay. Which is very, very common. And what happens is when we have this fear, the amygdala will kick in and our fight, flight, or freeze response will take over, which then just keeps perpetuating this fear because our mind is saying, okay, this is a fear, this is a threat. We need to fight or run or freeze. Okay. So it might seem impossible that there's ways to overcome this, but there are. That is through exposure therapy and systemic desensitization, which I'll talk about a little bit here. So if you have that fear of spiders or a different phobia, our goal here is we want to decrease the fear. I wouldn't recommend going to Petland and saying, hey, I want to hold a tarantula. That's probably not going to be successful for most of us. I know for me, that would not be helpful. But here the goal is let's start small and build up to that. We want this to be successful and manageable for us. Okay. So again, we're facing the fear little by little with exposure. And then there are 3 steps with this systemic desensitization. First step is focusing on relaxation techniques. So while we're doing this, we're going to focus on our breath, or we're going to do some grounding exercises like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. The second one is we're going to create a fear hierarchy. And I'll explain what that is in a second. The third step is gradual exposure. So gradually, I'm going to expose myself to this fear in a safe place. So let's go back to this fear hierarchy. What is that? So let's say that we're using the spider phobia as an example. Maybe the thing that is least scary for me would be looking at a cartoon picture of a spider. The second thing that would be least scary would be looking at a real picture of a spider. And then I move up to a video of a spider. And then I move up to being in the same room as a spider that is contained in some sort of container. And then maybe the next thing is moving closer there. The end goal could be me holding the container with the spider. Or some people would go is to hold the spider in their hand, right? So really what is comfortable for you, but the idea here is slowly I am exposing myself to this threat. That is teaching my brain that this thing isn't dangerous. It's not going to hurt me. So my fears, my worries, they're irrational, right? I don't have any evidence that this is going to happen to me and I'm safe. Okay. So again, it's like that slow pace paired with relaxation, acknowledging our feelings, and just taking our time to sit in that space until we start to feel less anxious, less scared, because that's going to desensitize us to this fear. If you feel like you can relate or this phobia is impacting you in a negative way, know that therapy can help. If you're interested in booking a session or a consultation with someone at Simply Counseling, you can go to our website, but also know you're not alone. So many people deal with this, like myself, so we can also relate.